Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the retirement zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hope you're having a great week as we go through all of our business and doing our thing. Last week, Bergen Loprich was with us. He was a first-timer. He's an interesting young man. He's going to work for Spartan Ventures at Michigan State, the new giant process thing that they're going to be doing for NIL, which is that's a whole nother deal out there, everybody. It's kind of crazy, but we shall see how that goes. But Bergen Loprich, the NIL whisperer, I called that one. He's a really good young man, and he's awesome. Calling this one winning time. Kendell Brooks is with us with Brock Fletcher. You know, we do so much with Brock, and he's so gracious to help us with his former interns. Kendell Brooks is a American professional football safety for the Tennessee Titans. I believe that's still correct, according to this bio, and we'll let Kendell talk about that. Because pro football players, they move around in the way the contracts work. We won't talk about all this. Played football at North Greenville and Michigan State University and was signed by the Arizona Cardinals as an undrafted free agent in 2023. We could go through this whole long bio. I'm going to let Kendell do his own talking here and let Brock jump in too and talk about this because I want to let these guys talk. It's good to get Kendell. We can only get him like maybe once a year to get him because he's in between his training times. I want to welcome back to the radio program first Brock Fletcher and then our buddy Kendell Brooks. How you doing, Brock?
I'm great. I'm living my best life. I'll say that.
I know you are. I know you are. He's got so many fun things going on. We can share some of the fun things that you're doing with your life. But let's bring our guest in here, Brock, and talk to this guy. I mean, you got some deep memories with this cat. I want to welcome back to the program, KB, Kendell Brooks. How are you, KB?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure. Brock, you want to start the This Is Your Life with KB and kind of get into all the family stuff with him?
Yeah, and we've only had a chance to catch up like once in the last few months, but KB's married now. He's got a baby, and if you don't mind, just kind of share with us, KB, you know, about your new addition and about getting married and just how's life changed for you recently?
Man, so much has happened in the last year or so. Like you said, got married. We had our first son on February 5th of this year. And it's just been a crazy journey, you know. My wife, she finished up her doctorate program. And, you know, that's kind of what I was waiting on to where we could be together every day before I, you know, proposed and made it official. So she finished that up and we went and tied the knot up and made sure she was all taken care of. And then we found out shortly that we were having our son, and he made his debut in February. Malachi.
Okay.
So Malachi made his debut in February, and he's been growing, sleeping, eating a lot. We call him the blowout king around here. So, it's been fun so far. So.
Do you change diapers?
Oh yeah. I kind of enjoy it. A lot of people made it seem like it's a lot harder than what it is. You know, it's pretty straightforward.
It's your baby, man. You know what?
Yeah.
There's nobody going to do it for you. That's the whole thing about being a parent. You know, that's the whole cool. But your wife got a PhD in what field? I'm very interested to hear about that. That's fascinating, and that's congratulations. That's huge.
Yeah, she's a occupational therapist.
Wow.
Yep.
Where did she go to school? Where did she get her doctorate?
She did her undergrad at North Greenville, which is where we met, and then she did her doctorate program at Boston University.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Malachi's around. Let's talk about your family and what you're doing with your business here a little bit, just to get things warmed up, get you going. Talk about what's happening in your business and how you weave in your prep time, because a lot of what we're going to talk about today is calling this one winning time with Kendell Brooks and Brock Fletcher. But let's just talk about you and your life, because you're obviously having massive changes this last year, and let's hear about it, man. People want to know how you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing well. I can't complain at all. Football is good. I had a great season last year, and
talk about that a little bit, please.
So last year was my second season with the Titans, third season in the NFL. Kind of built the foundation of a well-known special teams player. So looking to build off that going into this year, which will be, I'll be a free agent after this season. So hopefully, everything goes well this year. I can sign a big old contract next offseason.
Excuse me, but how does that work now? Because you'll be a fourth year next year. When you guys say you have the opportunity, is it always a 4-year or is that always set up? How does that work?
It's set up differently. Usually if you get drafted in the first or second round, you sign a 4-year deal. And then anywhere after that is usually a 3-year deal. And then rookie free agents, I believe, sign a 2-year deal.
Okay.
But what happened in my situation was my rookie year, I signed a 2-year with the Cardinals, but then I got released. And so when I made it to Tennessee, they signed me to the practice squad.
Excuse me, Kendall, but explain to the listeners what the practice squad is in professional football, because I don't think a lot of people understand it. We hear it all the time, but what is it?
So you got the active roster and then you got the practice squad. And the active roster, you only get, 53 slots after training camp. But then you can sign an additional 16 guys to the practice squad to, if somebody goes down, you can elevate them to the active roster and things like that. Usually guys, you want to keep for down the stretch playoff runs and stuff like that. So that's kind of the position I was in when I first made it to Tennessee. I was on the practice squad, and then they ended up signing me to the active roster my first year there. And when they signed me to the active roster, I signed a 2-year deal. Okay. So it covered that first year and then the following season, which was this past season. So I've been on that 2-year deal, and that 2-year deal will be up after this upcoming season.
After this year. Okay. So your situation is unique. Brock, you can pick up on this too, because we got about 2 minutes to go before we go to break here. But your situation is unique, correct?
Yeah. I wouldn't say unique. It's everybody's situation is different. So I'm sure someone has had a similar situation to mine, but it's not ideal as if someone would, how they think their career would go.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Brock, do you have a question you want to ask before we set this thing up for break here with Kendell?
Not so much a question, just, there's nothing more exciting than seeing a good friend make the career that they want, get married, have a baby. So I'm just really enjoying seeing all the joy and success that KB has earned. He's earned it all, right? He's not received it. He's earned it. And it's awesome to see that. That makes me very happy.
Kendell, I'd like to talk about that earning success here when we come back. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, what I'm thinking about with you is the winning attitude. How do you become a winner? People need to know to have that positive attitude, because you've already had, in your short span of career in the NFL, you're in your 3rd season, you've already experienced lots of ups and downs, and you still have that KB smile, and you're still doing the thing and having a baby, and your wife's getting a PhD, and life goes on. I mean, we continue to get better and get better and get better. Is there one thing that you'd like to say in a minute that helped you just have that right winning mindset?
Yeah, I think, a big part of it comes down to understanding and knowing what you want out of life. And once you understand that, you kind of have a clear end goal. And so no matter what happens along that path to that goal or towards that goal, as long as you can stay focused on what your end goal is, then you learn to, work through hard times, adversity, distractions, and everything like that.
That's the way to do it, everybody. You set the dream, you put the dream into motion, and things start happening. We got another guy with us here, Brock Fletcher, who's got some dreams happening. We'll talk about that too, because there's big changes happening with the selling team of Keller Williams Realty that people need to know about. There's just a lot of opportunity that has come. Let me reset everything. Winning Time is the name of today's title for the episode, everybody. Brock Fletcher's with us. Kendell Brooks is my guest. I'm Tom Matt, and this is The Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262. or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you for Sandy bringing us back, and for our staff that helps put everything together. Vanessa doing all the video stuff behind the scenes, and Mitch Anderson doing the audio editing and sending everything out. You guys are awesome, and thank you so much for doing all that. I also want to say thank you to Brock Fletcher, who's our sponsor of our radio program, selling team of Keller Williams Realty. Now, you guys know the story. I've said this 100, 200 times. Call Brock. He's the one who helped us with Big House Holt. Mike Dedman, one of his crew, helped us with Little House Lansing. We are Brock Fletcher fans, Keller Williams Realty, the selling team of Keller Williams Realty, because it's all about the trust. We trust each other. We talk about things. I call him. I ask him for advice. He calls me. We ask each other for. Check out the episodes that we have. The reality of real estate is really happening. It works really, really well. We've got about 25 episodes on that website. Check them out. There's all kinds. If you have questions about this, listen to those. You can go to the website, kwsellingteam.com. Call these numbers. Now, the first one is the office number, 517-853-6408. 517-853-6408. Or you can call the super secret, not so super secret number. Text, leave a voicemail, 517-303-3262. That's to his personal communicator to his pocket. It's called his cell phone, 517-303-3262. And that's Brock. And believe me, I've said this before too. He'll change his messages every day on his voicemail. Guy's up at 3:30 in the morning doing his thing because he is a hustling guy. He'll get the job done for you, just like he did for us. The whole team's awesome, and that's why we have him on the show all the time. And we have Kendell here, and we're just having a blast. Remember, sell your home without hassles, just like we did. Buy your home without hassles, just like we did. Get a hold of Brock Fletcher. He's the man. So, KB, first off, welcome back to the show. I want you to just kind of, before Brock jumps into his questions, because I know he's going to, and he's got some stuff he wants to ask you, but I want you to just kind of take a second to talk about your experience with Brock when you were in college and your relationship now with him and how it's impacted your life. Please take as long as you need.
Yeah. I first met Brock through an internship program that the Michigan State football team had put together in partnership with the selling team at Keller Williams. And, the initial conversation, it was a room of maybe 15, 20 guys. And Brock was just up front kind of taking us through what the internship would be like and things like that. And then the guys who were serious about it had to go through an interview process. So we went through the interview process, and I think he may have hired, 4 or 5 guys on for that internship program. And then through that internship program, you spent a lot of time riding around with different agents and getting to know each other and stuff like that. And, me and Brock connected. And then even after the internship program wrapped up, we stayed in contact with each other. And I went back up and hung out with him and some of his buddies at a tailgate a few years ago, and just always stayed in contact and, continued to grow and nurture that relationship. And he's been a great resource, a great friend. One time I was, thinking about getting my real estate license, and he connected me with a lot of people here in Charlotte whom I'm still in, contact with today about different various things. And I just really appreciate him, and I'm glad I met him.
He's a connector.
Oh, yeah.
Brock, first I want to get your reaction to that, Brock, and then I know you have some questions for KB, but what's your reaction to when you hear stuff like that?
It makes me feel good because, I care a lot about our interns and about my teammates, and, I want to bring value, to all the relationships. And so, the relationship means as much to me as it does KB. I enjoy seeing his success. It's great to see young people, thrive in life. And I respect, even from the first interview we ever had, and we did a deep dive on his growing up in the logging industry. And I knew how hard of a worker he was. I knew he had bet on himself a bunch of times. And, when he told me I'm going to make it in the NFL, it kind of took me by surprise. But he's made it, right? He's paid the price and a little bit more every step of the way. And there's nothing more rewarding in life than to see people that are important to you really crushing it, right? And I love it. It makes me so happy to see his success, and I mean, I'm ecstatic for him.
The thing is, KB, is it's Kendell Brooks is our guest today with Brock Fletcher. Everybody calling this one winning time. It's really intrinsically rewarding for us to see you young people flourish. I mean, and Brock and I come from the same exact heart. Now, you had a question for your guy, and I had to cut you off when we were during break. Everybody, it was like, oh, hold on. Now, go ahead, hit your boy up. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, just because, I mean, I get it, the life of being in the NFL, and you maybe, so I had asked the question, are you living in North Carolina? Are you in Tennessee, or where are you and your family situated?
Yeah, right now, for the offseason, we're in North Carolina, and I'll be heading back to Tennessee here in the next couple of weeks, and I'll kind of be back and forth throughout the duration of OTAs, and then we'll probably head back to Tennessee full time after training camp.
OTAs. Now, again, I'm sorry to be I don't want to sound like a know nothing, which I know what that is, but for the listeners out there that might not know what acronyms are in the professional football world, what in your world, what is that, and how important are those?
Yeah, it's basically the full term for it is optional training activities, and it's basically, the same time every year around April, all teams get the guys back in the building, get everybody, back in shape, thinking football, things like that. And then OTAs, or optional training activities, transitions into, the mini camps and the training camp, and then ultimately the season. So
when you do, because I want to talk a lot about the training, because I'm really interested in all that training stuff, and we got a couple minutes to go before we go to break here. Do you guys, when you have the full squad on the OTAs, I'm assuming that most of your teammates show up for this, and probably all the new guys. Do you go through full practices? Are there full scrimmaging going on, or is this kind of more of a conditioning thing?
Yeah, they break it up into different phases. It's 4 phases. So phase 1 is about 2.5 weeks. It's just, strictly running and strength and conditioning. So getting everybody's body back moving. And then phase 2, that's when you're able to go out onto the field with the coaches a little bit and do like individual period and start to like move around with the playbook and stuff like that. But you still can't really do like defense versus offense. So they'll set up like trash cans, and you kind of just go through the play calls and the communication and stuff like that. And then phase 3 is where we move into offense versus defense, or 7-on-7, and, some team periods. And then phase 4 is the, mandatory mini camp and stuff like that right before we get to training camp.
Okay, so that's later in the summer. So this is all kind of stacked together, everybody, as we're going through this. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to take this thing to break here. Calling this one winning time, everybody. Brock Fletcher's here. He's my brother from another mother. And then we have Kendell Brooks here, who worked for Brock as an intern and now is a professional football player, plus other things that he's doing. We'll talk about the other things, because there is life outside of football. I'm assuming there's life outside of football. I mean, he's got a new son, got a wife with a PhD. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of The Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got Brock Fletcher here and Kendell Brooks. Very, very fortunate to have Kendell with us. Love talking to him and all the things that are happening in his life, and we'll get into that in a second. This second read that we do for the show is again for Brock, but it's my favorite, really my favorite spot, because it's the testimonials. I love doing testimonials because I think that the testimonials really reflect how people feel about services. And if you can get a good, solid testimonial, you scored, okay? This one's from Byron and Laura in Okemos. I'm going to do a couple of them here. We love our new home, exclamation point. Thank you for going the extra mile for us, especially when our sale almost fell through. Ooh, I hadn't read that one before. We will be sure to refer you to all of our friends, Byron and Laura at Okemos. And then there's Jeff and Tammy and DeWitt. Brock Fletcher and the selling team have been absolutely stellar. That's because they got a solid team in there. That's the whole thing about the team. We just had a meeting last week, and we had several of the teammates there and explaining how Brock's team they're very specialized. Kind of like KB, Kendell Brooks is with us, a professional football player. They're all pros in what they do so that they can give you the best service. They're not cannibalizing each other's work out there. So we had Mikey there and we had Stacy there, and they're explaining they're different. And we have new people going in and we're bringing new people. And by the way, keep Brock's cell phone around, because if you're looking for a job, if you're looking for your young person to maybe get a leg up, maybe talk to somebody about potentials in the real estate, maybe it's just something, it's just doing a Q&A. Give Brock a call, because I've already sent him 2 young people in the last 2 weeks. One of them is definitely going to be, I'm sure both of them are going to be great, because the second one hasn't had her interview yet, but this is happening. And Brock is actively looking for people, and he will help people, just like he did with KB. Not to say that his interns are going to turn into professional football players, but you know what's nice to have a professional football player that used to be an intern with him, okay? Call this number, 517, or text 517-303-3262. Tell him that you got somebody you want it. Tell him you heard it on the radio show, and he'll take care of you. Just like he took care of Joan Wright out in Williamston. We talked about her at lunch too. Joan, we talked about you at lunch. We're all hoping you're doing well. Hope you're doing great. We'll see you soon. Okay, back to the program today. Winning time with KB, Kendell Brooks, and Brock Fletcher. Just gave us those 4 phases of your career and how you get started here, KB, and it's very interesting to me. Even Brock was saying earlier that when he was watching you on television last fall, that you've gotten a lot bigger. Brock, you want to take this and we'll talk about the conditioning, because I just want to listen to you guys talk about conditioning, and I'll add in my own little thing here. But do you have questions for him on his conditioning and all that kind of stuff, or KB can just jump right into it?
Yeah, he's KB's like pretty jacked now. I mean, he's a big guy even back when he was here at Michigan State, but he's noticeably bigger. I would love to know your how that happens.
Yeah, man, I think it just a little bit of it is natural, just over time of constantly working out and eating the right things, and then you just naturally get bigger. And then sometimes you just gotta try to tone it back a little bit, because you might get a little bit too big.
Are you talking about the food, or are you talking about the exercise and the fitness?
Well, everything all together, the conditioning, the weightlifting, plus the food and the meal plans, it kind of all goes into gaining weight or losing weight. So you kind of got to feel it out and play with it. They give a lot of guys a lot of leeway in terms of like, how do you feel when you play at this weight versus this weight? So it's kind of some leeway there if you want to gain or lose. So, and I'm kind of in that losing phase right now. I think I weigh like 215, trying to get down to maybe 205 before the season starts. So trying to shed about 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds a month.
Perfect.
So I'll be ready for the season.
So where were you when you played in college at Michigan State?
Michigan State, I was still around like 205, 210.
So you were pretty close to where you were. Is that how you remember it, Brock?
Yeah. You just look I mean, your body composition must be a little different now.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing, is the body composition with, the body fat percentage versus lean muscle mass percentage. So that's the number that really changes the most. And obviously, the lower the body fat and the higher the lean muscle, the more cut up and ripped up you look.
How does that protect you as a professional athlete? And we'll get into this in more depth here throughout the show, but how does it protect you for your career? I mean, having the extra mass, are you faster?
I mean, I don't think it directly correlates with speed, but it definitely correlates with like, soft tissue injuries and things like that. You don't want to have too low of a body fat percentage just from all the contact and everything that the body endures during the season. So it's a balance with the fat percentage to lean body mass. You kind of want to find that sweet spot to protect yourself in terms of like soft tissue, hamstrings, shoulder injuries and stuff like that.
Right. How about during a game now? I'm always curious as to how you guys keep your energy level, because I remember being on the sideline at Michigan State for years and years and years, especially when you were playing, and I see, you guys have the Gatorade and you have the electrolytes down on the sideline. But is there anything else that the professionals do that you didn't do in college? Because you're a pro athlete now.
Yeah, I think a lot of these college coaches do a good job of hiring and managing these teams as if they were already in the NFL. So even when I was at Michigan State, like when we would come off the field, we would have access to Gatorade, water, electrolytes, massage guns. The dietitians are coming around with like fruit snacks and little things to put on your stomach to keep the energy levels up. So it's pretty much a copy and paste from that to the NFL or vice versa, however you want to look at it. So there's a lot of resources available to you. And for instance, like I'm a chronic cramper, so I'm always on the verge of cramping up late in games and stuff like that. So they make sure that they have like
potassium,
right stuff, which is very like salty pickle juice. Then when it gets cold outside, they may have chicken broth and stuff like that to just make sure everybody's comfortable, everybody's able to just focus on the task at hand.
Interesting. So interesting. Kendell Brooks is with us, everybody, with Brock Fletcher, calling this one Winning Time. These are just good tips that you can transfer over to the younger athletes, the high school athletes. And I could open up that can. I'll start a little bit here with the NIL stuff and how you feel about NIL and these high school kids getting NIL now. And it's just like, and you guys on radio, I know you're not seeing Kendell smiling, but maybe you want to go look at the video here. Give me a minute on high school kids and NIL.
Yeah, I think NIL, I think it's a good thing that, college athletes can, get paid for their name, image, and likeness just because everybody's not going to make it to the NFL. And they definitely deserve, to have a good start to life after putting in so much into a sport or something like that. But then you look at it from a high school standpoint, and I believe personally that it's more so like the parents that are trying to get this money than the athletes, because if you're looking at it from a college coach standpoint, you can't really invest all this money into an athlete who haven't, proven themselves at the collegiate level. High school is one thing, college is another thing, and then the pros is another thing. So I'm not really a fan or a supporter of the high schoolers coming in demanding X amount of money just because of, you might give them the money, they get there, and then the performance is not what you thought it would be. So
it's got to cause a little bit of competition anxiety in the locker room. I mean, it's just got to do it. If you've got a high school quarterback who's making, I don't know, 25 grand or something, just something that's a lot of money for a high school kid, that's got to cause problems. I just think that it's just kind of getting blown out of proportion, but we'll leave it there because we're going to go to break here. Let me reset this thing. Calling this episode Winning Time. Got Brock Fletcher here. It's one of our reality or real estate shows, but we really like to kind of spin things off, and Brock likes to bring his former interns back in here. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
This segment of The Tom Matt Show is brought to you in part by The Source of Light and Power by band leader Archivall and broadcaster Mitch Anderson. Hear the sound that is endorsed by Odyssey headphones, linear tube audio, RME converters, and Peluso microphones at sourceoflightandpower.bandcamp.com.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Once again, I want to say thank you to Sandy and to Mitch and to Vanessa for what they do. Thank you to Brock Fletcher for what he does by sponsoring our show, and to Kendell Brooks for giving us the time, because he's a busy guy. Professional football players, typically, you think they're always working out, doing their thing, but on the side, they have other things going on. And if you want to get a hold of KB, speaking engagements, ideas, thoughts, logging business that we're going to talk about here, get a hold of Brock. You know his number, 517-303-3262. And he is graciously said that he would run point on that, and we will go that route. So let's talk about you, KB, and we've talked quite a bit about the football side of things. Let's talk about your other side of your life, because you do have that other, is it 6 months? Is it kind of like, or 4 months that you have for in between seasons? Or you're always training, right? I mean, you never stop training. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's pretty much year round, but we get some downtime for about 3.5 months or so in the beginning of the year.
Okay. So before we jump into the business side of things, how much time, just so people know, how much time do you put into the gym during the off season for your workouts? Do you put in 2 hours? Is it 2 sessions?
It's about, January is pretty relaxed. You just let the body recover. And then February, you start back moving around, maybe some yoga, some boxing, stuff like that, couple times a week. And then March, it really starts to pick up. So you get back on like a program. So I train 6 days a week, twice a day, lift, run, and then I'll usually try to stretch in the evenings.
So you have basically 3 sessions.
3 sessions a day, if you look at it that way.
How do you like that, Brock? I mean, 3 sessions.
That's better than my 45 minutes in the morning. I'll say that.
Have you heard, KB, have you heard, because I have a friend from Michigan State who is a F-45 guy, and he wants me to do the F-45 with him. And I'm like, yeah, I'm down. Yeah. After coming off 2 knee replacements and getting my hip done, but yeah, I'm down. I'm down for anything. And so have you heard of that?
Yeah, I heard of F-45. I saw the gyms, in a couple different cities, but not quite sure what's on the inside, if it's like CrossFit or what is it, HIIT workouts or something like that.
I'll let you know, but it's kind of like a HIIT. It appears to me, now I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to, but it appears it's a very quick 45-minute session. That's when Brock said to 45 minutes. I thought maybe he's doing F4. Are you doing F-45, Brock?
No, I work out from 4:15. I wake up at 4. I get down to my home gym at 4:15. I work out till 5.
And you know what, everybody? I am going to testify to that, because I texted Brock last night about this episode, and he responded this morning at 4 a.m. So I knew he's up at like 3:45. All right. It's just crazy how life works with this stuff. And that's why I was kind of interested in your triple sessions that you have. You have the monthly things going on like that. That's cool. How about your side business? Talk about your side business. And we talked about that a little bit in the first episode. You're in the lumber business or trucking business or something like that, aren't you, KB?
Yeah. So we're a logistics company that focuses on hauling timber to local mills here in South Carolina. We work directly hand in hand with my aunt and uncle, whose company is called Taylor Logging, and they actually go out on the land and cut down the trees and load them onto the trucks. So we're just a piece of a very large operation. This is our first year in business, got everything set up over the past, I'd say 3 years of just, game planning and getting everything, the foundation and everything set up the right way. So it's nice to finally start making some money.
You know what we got to do, Brock? We got to do a KB timber television show, because I've watched some of these timber television shows.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, KB, these things I love watching these things. They're so interesting. Have you watched them?
Yeah. We actually were at dinner on Saturday night with some friends, and they were talking about you guys should start a TV show and stuff like that. So
they stole my idea. Brock, let's do it. Let's get this thing set up. We'll start with radio. Here's how we do it. KB, this is how media works. The digital media. We start with the podcast first. Mm-hmm. We start with the lumbering podcast, and then we got the video here, and you're proven quantity. Brock's right there.
Why do I feel this ends up with me as the butt of some lumber jokes? Like I'm out like on a saw or something, humiliate the old guy, trying to, or I'm just joking. But
no, that's great.
Anything for comedic relief.
For sure. I mean, it's like, would you guys consider doing something like that, KB?
I don't know. My uncle said he thought about it, but, he'd be so tied up in the day-to-day operations. You just have to send the camera out there and just follow him around.
So explain the Taylor Logging now. Do they own the property that they go get the trees from, and then they buy how does that work in the lumber? I have no idea how this works. Yeah. And if you were to say you're in the real estate and you wanted to go to Brock and you wanted to get a piece of property and you wanted to lumber it's full of woods, full of trees.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that work?
I mean, it's kind of like real estate. So what happens is my uncle works hand in hand with a wood dealer or broker, and they work hand in hand with the landowner. So there's 3 people at the top. It's the landowner, the broker, and then the contractor or logging crew. And then the broker negotiates a price between the landowner and the logging crew. And then my uncle, once they agree on a price, my uncle will go on and clear off the land. And then they'll hire us to haul the timber off the land to the mills. And then from there, the landowner retains ownership of the land. The broker basically just buys the rights to the wood.
You know what, Brock? This sounds just like real estate.
Yeah.
It sounds very, so you're training, okay, getting back into hiring young people. So your training with Brock, there had to be a few items that had transferred over. Of course, you met some people through Brock's network. Is that true? That you kind of like transferred some of that knowledge? There you go, everybody, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially when I started to work through, the licensing course, you start to learn a lot about like zoning and mineral rights and land rights and air rights and all type of stuff like that. So it's always in the back of my mind as we're kind of working through these deals with these landowners.
How's that work, Brock? When you have a piece of property like that, let's weave in some reality of real estate here. Say you have somebody who's trying to invest some money and they want to buy some land, but they're doing it specifically for the tree option. Have you done work like that? And can you do that type of stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I've worked with forestry people that want to buy the property. I sold the largest. I sold a 200 acre property in Williamston about a decade ago that was completely wooded, and it was very valuable for the woods. Most lumber companies here locally that I work with, they're basically looking for properties to basically buy the timber off of from the property owner. They're not actually looking to acquire the property. But I mean, it's probably not as prevalent in our area as it is in some parts of the country where you've got a more dense wood population. But it's definitely, there's a component for a real estate agent to serve in it. But sometimes it's just facilitating relationships. And like if I have a client that thinks they have a lot of value of timber, a lot of times they're wrong, to be honest. And I'll have to call a timber expert to come out and say, hey, come out and tell my clients what really is the value of the timber asset here. And normally it's not as much as what they think it is, to be honest.
Of course. We ran into that little, the house asset thing when Brock gave me the number for Big House Holt. And let me tell you, KB, because the long story is Brock gave us advice. And when I had just met him he knew that we were going to be selling our big house and that the time had come that we might want to start thinking about this. And he was right. And he hit the number. And when we started talking and we got to be closer friends, I always thought, of course, I had this elevated number in my head as a potential seller of my home that we built. And he was right. I was wrong. And that's why we hired Brock, because he knows what he's doing. Okay. So you took some of the knowledge that you had. I got a minute to go here. You took some of the knowledge that you had through your internship. And I'm trying to let people know again, reinforcing this, Brock is looking for people like a KB, somebody, you don't have to be a professional football player, potentially, but he's looking for solid people who want to work, who want to learn, who want to earn to come into the real estate game. Again, call his cell phone number, leave him a text message, 517-303-3262. I cannot tell you guys, and I'm going to tell you, I trained with one of my guys that I work with, Kamani, yesterday. And he's one of the guys that I turned on to Brock. And yesterday he told me about his meeting with Brock, how excited he was to be working with Brock, to get the mentorship with Brock. He's got a little bit of money that he needs to invest in, and I have no idea how to guide people on that kind of stuff. Over the top. So inspired. It's so great to see like a KB, a Kendell Brooks, flourish post his internship, and then to see these young people coming into Brock's pipeline. I'm just stoked. It's just so great. Let me reset this thing. Winning time. Brock's here. Kendell Brooks is here. I'm here. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262. or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Fifth segment of the Tom Matt Show. If you're listening to this segment, you're either picking us up on WKAR or some of the other independent stations that carry us, or you're listening to the podcast, and I'm thanking you for any of it. Remember, you can always go to our website, tommattshow.com, scroll down to the bottom. You can find Brock's website there. Brock's got one of the nicest websites ever. I like to think ours is nice, but it's superb. I mean, it's really, really well done. Go to the bottom of the tommattshow.com website. You can pick up any of the old episodes. You can go listen to any of the topics, those little 12, 13 cartoons we have up there for the different topics and categories. Let your fingers do the walking on that, people. Everybody, that's an old saying from the Yellow Pages ad. Let your fingers do the walking. You young people have no idea what I'm talking about when we're talking about that.
Nobody knows.
Brooks is here.
They don't even make phone books anymore.
They don't even make phone books anymore. Let your fingers do the walking. Kendell Brooks is here. Kendell, have you ever heard that before? Let your fingers do the walking?
No.
See what I mean, everybody? That's it. We're dating ourselves here, but that's totally cool because now we're doing digital and we're doing a podcast and we're doing a radio show. All right, I want to talk more about the physical side of things and the conditioning side of things because you've put on, you're up to 215 now, KB, and I'm very interested in that whole process and during the season how you guys stay in shape, and is it all just? Do you hire someone specifically as your trainer? Or does your wife do that for you? Or do they assign someone to you for your training? How does that work in the off season?
Yeah, a lot of guys have their own personal trainers. So I work with a guy named Derek Spees out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And I was introduced to him through one of my former coaches. And so I work with him pretty much from January up until August or September, whenever preseason starts and stuff like that. So I work with him 6 days a week. Have
you worked with him for some time now? Several years while you've been a pro?
Yeah, this is our second year working together.
So he must be good.
Yeah, pretty good. He's an Olympic trainer. He trains China's speed skating team. So he's the strength and conditioning coach for their speed skating team. So he just returned from Italy this February where the Winter Games were. How
important, now I'm going into the personal training things and myself as being a personal trainer, how important do you think it is for that relationship with a personal trainer to get your results? Is it very important or is it not that important?
I think it's pretty important I think it's important for me to work with a personal trainer for the simple fact of, he uses science and you kind of get mental coaching with it as well.
Yeah.
So we don't train how we train, as we would if I was inside the Titans, like when we go back for OTAs. We do things that are more catered to balancing out the body and making sure the small muscles are firing correctly and stuff like that. So it's fairly important.
It's very interesting. I read the Tom Brady's book and he talked about his trainer and how he would bring his trainer with him to your camps when he was playing still. And it wasn't very well received. The staff didn't really like it too much. They kind of look at you guys as like their thing. I hate to say you're their property, but kind of when you're under contract to a professional team like that, you kind of are, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah and no. I mean, I guess it's more of a pride thing than anything of, why they would kind of get upset that Tom Brady was bringing his trainer in and kind of things like that. But it's always good to have your own trainer just because, there's no gray of whether they're looking out for the team's best interest or your best interest. You kind of always want to have somebody in your corner to kind of give you that second opinion.
What about on the nutritional side of things? Now, we talked a little, not a lot about the physical side of things, but on the nutritional side of things in the off season and then in the regular season, how does that work?
I mean, the closer we get to training camp, they kind of give you a set weight margin where they think you should be between. So it might say like between 205 and 210. And if you go over, you'll get fined per pound and stuff like that. So it's a little more serious the closer you get to the season, and then maintaining that throughout the season. But in the off season, you pretty much can kind of relax a little bit, kind of enjoy yourself, but always have the thought in your mind of, once we go back to work, you kind of need to dial it back in.
Do you keep it pretty clean year round? I mean, you probably are pretty set in your ways. That's what happens, right, Brock? I know you're doing the same thing with your nutrition and your physicality. Once you get
probably
in,
not the same level,
but I'm just saying, for you, for me, for each of our own needs, you got to stay on a regular routine.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. And then if we're talking to a high school, if we're talking to parents or grandparents, or you're listening to this episode, everybody, and you have young athletes, you want to start to condition those young athletes to eat better and stop eating so much trash. I mean, it's become very, very sophisticated. Speaking of that, I wanted to kind of lean on you a little bit about the tech that you go through, the technology that is involved. Because I know at Michigan State now they have the iPads on the sidelines where when I was doing the headsets, we didn't have to deal with that. Thank God. We didn't have the helmet headset that they have now. Thank God. Because the more things we're responsible for, the more things break. And then the more things coaches get really irritated about. And you don't want coaches irritated during a game. That's for sure. But talk about some of the tech that you guys utilize during the professional season. Is it pretty crazy?
Yeah, I mean, it's all pretty cool, not really relying on signals coming from the sideline anymore. So, the quarterback has a mic, a green dot, in his helmet.
Right.
They're calling in the plays. And then once the play clock gets to a certain point, they cut it off. So you can't talk and they can't hear. And then same thing for defense. So the Mike linebacker usually has the green dot for the defense. So they're calling in the defense and sending in reminders, and then it'll cut off at a certain point. So it's pretty unique. And then on the sideline, it's different from college. We call them surfaces, which is like an iPad, but It's only pictures. Where I think in college it might be the actual video of the play. In the NFL, you can only see pictures of the play and what happened. So,
that's interesting. So you see still photos.
Yeah.
When you're looking at when you guys are doing your team, your group meeting on the sideline during a game, you're looking at still photos.
Yeah, and then they'll, based off the route concepts and stuff like that, the coaches up top, they'll draw on the pictures kind of the routes that were ran and things like that to look out for.
I'm very curious to pick your brain on the playbook and learning the defensive scheme and the offensive scheme. Do you have to learn strictly defense, and is the playbook a lot more complicated than college, or is it pretty much the same?
Yeah, playbooks are a lot more complicated, and this OTA period is when you kind of try to learn and perfect the defense. And so once you get to the season, you can kind of focus on what the opponent's offense is trying to do versus our defense. So
what's the hardest thing with the playbook? Is it remembering all of this, all the sets and all of the movement, or what for you, what do you think is some of the most challenging thing? And how would you like to help young people understand it? You got to be on top of your game.
Yeah, I think the most challenging part of learning a playbook is the adjustments. So you never really know what the opponent is going to come out and do. You kind of just gotta be prepared for everything. So on one play call, if the offense motions this guy, then the defense needs to go to this call. If they motion this guy, then the defense needs to get to this call. If they run this route at this yard line, then you need to do this. So it's kind of just making sure you're sharp enough to stay up on all the adjustments, the pre-motion communication, and making sure everybody is on the same page.
So for a athlete that wants to get to the highest level like you, would you encourage them to crack the books and be smart?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, it's kind of set to where if you're not in them books, you can't really even play. So there's no way around, developing your mind and having hobbies outside of football. Like I know a lot of guys play chess and video games and stuff like that, which I guess might keep your mind, alert and aware in certain situations and change the way you think about, be prepared for them to move this guy. As if you were playing chess, be prepared for them to move this pawn or take the rook here or the queen here. So things like that just challenge you and develop your mind.
I'm going to have to wrap this thing up here. Let me reset everybody. Brock Fletcher's here. Kendell Brooks has been with us, calling this one Winning Time. Brock, I'd like you to take the takeaway and just take the next minute and a half or so to talk about your relationship with KB and the new people that you want to bring in. And thank you, KB, so much for being with us today. I know you're so busy, but it's good to see you, man. And congratulations on Malachi and your wedding and all of that. Totally thrilled for you, man. And it's like, we're all happy for you. And now we're in the Sweet 16 too. So it's like, in that sweet. Go ahead, Brock.
Yeah, well, I guess first and foremost, I think you're giving me too much credit, Tom, in terms of the influence, I've had with KB. He was really tough and really awesome, the moment that I was privileged to be able to have him join us. He's a special person. He's a really hard worker, probably one of the hardest workers I've ever known. And to be honest, I've never been around a young person that spoke so confidently about what they were going to go after in life. He's got a maturity that's way above, most people his age. So you're giving me too much credit. I'm honored and privileged to be friends with KB, and just glad to see where he's headed. That's it.
That was such a huge compliment. We got to wrap this thing, everybody. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you through our guests. Please contact us. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Thanks so much to Brock Fletcher, to Kendell Brooks, to Sandy. Have a great week, everybody. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, the Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Thank you again to Mitch Anderson and to Vanessa. We are out.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music from the Source of Light and Power by the Ark of All.